Hey guys, Fallen here. In this deep dive, we'll have a closer look at the god power for All-Father Odin, the Great Hunt, and answer all the questions about using this god power. Things like, how many animals does it make or create? Does it make exact copies or other animals can spawn as well? What happens when it's a mix of animals that you've casted the ability on? And what if you don't have a lot of hunt left? Do you still get the full benefit of the god power? We will also look into some tips, tricks about these ability, and if you just care about the gameplay impact, you can just skip to that part at the end. Okay, so without further ado, let's check it out. As the name suggests, it's a great early game economic bonus, pairing very well with Odin's other bonus, which is 10% increased gather rate on both dwarves and gatherers. And before it got nerfed, it was a key reason why Odin was so dominant at high elo. The extra food meant you not just had faster collection rate from hunt, but also longer lasting resources than your opponents, and you could just outmass army in classical age and overpower them, leading to very short but successful classical age. A big issue with playing aggressive strategies is that your own villagers can be susceptible to any kind of counter damage, and with this ability, essentially what you can do is you can have extra food right at your town center and your villagers are safe, whereas your opponent would have to at some point move to a hunt which is a bit unsafe, a bit further away from their town center. And so there really was no way to punish this. Well, this monopoly in early game didn't last long, and as of update 17.30764, this was nerfed. It used to give 800 extra food before, and after nerf it only gives 600 in the archaic age. This is a big difference because when you go to classic age, the food bonus bumps up to 1000, which is 66% extra food as opposed to how much it gives in archaic age. So there is always now a question if you should use it in the early game or use it a bit later for a bigger food bonus. Let me know in comments down below if you prefer to use it early or later when it's more impactful. In my opinion though, this does not take away from the fact that you're still getting a lot of extra food, and whereas it was very broken before, now it's just a great food bonus. And since the cost is not very high, you can actually recast it in classic age with only, I think, 30 favor needed for a recast, and have another big pile of hunt available to you very safely. On a base level, how this works is pretty simple. You target an area with this god power, and any wild animals in that area will multiply up to a certain food limit. This food limit depends on which age you're in. So in archaic age, you get about 600 food. In classic age, you would get hunt copied to about 1000 food. In heroic 1200, and in mythic age 1400. The god power correctly works if you're targeting an area which has some kind of hunt. If you're targeting an area with sheep, cow, any kind of herdables or any kind of critters like chicken, it gives you a base. It treats it as an empty space, and it gives you a base amount of food which is usually around half of the current bonus. So if you're in archaic age, you'll get 2 deer. If you're in classic age, you'll get 3 deer. So 450 food instead of 1000 that you could get if hunt was actually available. So you definitely want to target an area where you have deer, even monkeys, or higher food sources like boar, rhinos, elephant, etc. Alright, so a basic use case would be when you have one kind of hunt available and you know how much food you're going to get. So let's, for example, start with archaic cage. At this point, we should be getting 600 extra food worth of units. So if we start with the lowest food per unit, so monkeys, and we can see that it just creates 6 extra monkeys. If we go to deer, we get 4 extra deer. If we get to crocodiles, we get 3 extra crocodiles. And for boar, we get 2 extra. So it's working out pretty smoothly so far. However, for hunt, which give more food than half of the currently available in God Power. So if you're an archaic age, you have 600 food, and Auroch have 400 per hunt. What you get is only one hunt when you use the God Power. It's just that one animal will be a bit bigger than standard size, and that will contain all of the food available, so it will contain 600 instead of the usual 400. As we move to classical age, things start to get a bit more complicated. Let's say we start with 800 food in terms of monkeys. You will still get your 1000 food after using the God Power. What's going to happen is some of the monkeys will get double the food. So you'll get some with 200 and rest of them will have 100 food each. This is even stranger when you move to deer. Let's say you had 5 deer to target. That's of course 750 food. That's not enough. What you will get is some deer will have 300 food, so it goes to a maximum of 300, and then 300 you get 600 food, and the last 400 is going to be divided into 250 food for one and a standard 150 food deer. Now a mixed use case would be when you have deer plus one more animal, usually a boar or auroch, available around your town center. And in this case, what it's going to do, it's going to do a combination and try to get you to as close to complete duplication as possible, but it prioritizes higher food sources. So here we had 2 boars, 2 deer. Of course, it could have chosen 2 deer and 1 boar, but it chooses 2 boars to copy. Let's try now where we have 1 boar and 3 deer, and in this case you get 2 deer and 1 boar. So it wants to copy first of all exact number of animals, and if that is not possible, it's going to choose so that it at least gets as many of the higher food sources as possible. So if you have just 1 deer and 1 boar, this is actually enough to still get the full bonus, because each hunt can go up to a maximum of twice as much as food available to it. So if you have deer with 150 food, you can actually think of it as 300 food available for the God Power. So it's 300 plus 300, 600 food that you get from here. Now, if you imagine a scenario where you went up to classical age very quickly, you have not yet used your God Power, or you already have enough favor to use it again, all you need is 1 deer and 1 auroch. So you need about 500 food in hunt available to get full benefit. In this case, auroch would be considered as 400 times 2, 800 food, and a deer will be considered 150 times 2, 300 food. So in total that's 1100 food available to the God Power, and it's going to redistribute it. So auroch got double food, it was 800, and deer got to 200, which is 50 more, and that's the extra food that is left over if you consider 800 plus 150, but the bonus gives 1000 food, so that's fine. Okay, now we get to the good part. So what are the things that will help you in a game? So there are some tips and tricks I found out when experimenting with this God Power. First of all, you can pull the hunt to near your TC and you can de-aggro them with this god power. So this allows you to mostly skip one ox cart. This is a massive saving, and this could mean getting faster to classical age and getting faster to whatever aggressive strategies you're planning on. Okay, let's say you don't want to de-aggro your hunt because they're already very close to the town center. In that case, what you can do is you can pull only one boar and you can use god power on that in arcade gauge, because then you are getting 600 food. So it'll just make you one boar with 600 food to kill instead of two boars. And this is beneficial because it's going to give you a few person points boost in collection rate, because you're not spending that much time walking and killing the hunt. If there is no hunt left around you and you still use this god power, it's going to give you a couple of deers depending on which age you're in. In case of archaic age, you get 2 deers. In classical age, you get 3 deers. Once you get to heroic age, you get 5 deers. That's 750 food versus 1200 that you can get. And in mythic age, you will get 7 deers, and that's actually pretty high. And you can, considering that if you recast later on it's just 25 favor, maybe that's worth it for extra food. So the archaic age nerf of 800 change to 600 food has had an unintended consequence, which is elephants have more food than the bonus, and in that case it cannot copy an elephant, and you're instead going to get just the base 2 deers. The last point is the fringe case. In case you're working with a coastal map, coastal terrain, you will not be able to use your god power on that. However, if you target nearby and you have some hunt, or if you're able to pull the hunt out of the coastal terrain, you'll be able to cast the god power. Alright, so to summarize, it is a really great god power, and if you're playing Odin, you really want to play around this to get an early game advantage and build on that to win new games. This extra food gives you a safe food source in early classic age, and that extra gathering rate bonus puts you ahead, so you want to build some army based on that and use that to your advantage going into late classic, early heroic age. And of course you have another option to greed it out, don't use it early, and then once you put a second town center, you can use it hunt near that second town center, again for a big food boost in classic age to just power through a boom. So how do you like to use it when you're playing a game with Odin? Do you like to greed it out and use it later in classic, or do you like to use it early? Please let me know in the comments down below. Lastly, I plan to make these videos more consistently now from December. If you'd like to see more of this, please consider subscribing. Thank you, and see you next time.